Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're going to be taking a look at AI voice cloning scams.
Oh, yeah. These are scary.
Yeah, they really are, and we're seeing more and more of these stories popping up.
Definitely. It seems like every time I open the news, there's another one.
Right, and it's easy to just skim past those headlines, you know? But we're going to do a deep dive into how they work and why they're so effective and what you can actually do to protect yourself.
Yeah, because, the tech behind it is fascinating, but it's really that combination with the age-old psychological stuff, right?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
how do they actually use it to manipulate people?
Right, it's not just about the tech, it's about how it pushes our buttons.
Exactly.
So we've got this chilling story about a man named Anthony from California who fell victim to one of these scams. And I was reading his account and it's just heartbreaking.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just imagine getting a call and it's your son's voice and he's just frantic saying he's been in a terrible accident.
Oh, gosh. I mean, that's just the worst nightmare.
I know, and that's exactly what happened to Anthony.
So how do they do it?
Well, the scammer used AI to mimic his son's voice, and then they claimed that he had hit a pregnant woman while driving.
Oh, wow.
And they didn't just stop at like a robotic voice. They added all these details, like a trembling voice and like gasps for breath to really heighten the sense of panic.
So they're really playing on the emotion, right?
Oh, absolutely. It was a performance basically designed to trigger a response.
And I mean, any parent would do anything to protect their child.
Exactly. And that's why these scams are so effective. They prey on what psychologists call urgency bias.
Urgency bias.
Yeah, it's that instinct to act quickly when we think there's a threat.
Oh, I see.
So in Anthony's case, that urgency really made it harder for him to think clearly.
Yeah.
Like to stop and question what was happening. But it gets even worse.
What do you mean?
Well, they didn't just stop at the fake voice, right? They brought in another scammer who posed as a lawyer.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and this lawyer joined the call and started demanding bail money to prevent Anthony's son from going to jail. And they initially asked for $9,200.
So they really make it sound official.
Oh, yeah, they're just layering these psychological tactics.
Wow.
It's like the fake voice creates that initial panic, and then the lawyer adds this whole other level of pressure.
Like the threat of legal consequences.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Anthony, feeling trapped and desperate to help his son, went to the bank and withdrew the money.
Oh, my gosh.
I can't even imagine the emotional turmoil.
I know. It's just awful.
Yeah, you're already terrified for your child, and then you're hit with this financial demand.
Right. And you're racing against time.
Exactly. And sadly, the nightmare doesn't end there.
Oh, no.
Later that day, the lawyer called back.
Oh, God.
This time with an update saying that the pregnant woman had died, and now they needed an additional $15,800.
Oh, my gosh. They're just monsters.
It's just sickening how they kept escalating the situation.
Yeah, they just keep piling it on.
And Anthony went back to the bank and handed over a total of $25,000.
I can't believe that.
I know, it's just devastating.
It is.
And the really sad part is that Anthony's daughter later found information about similar scams online. But it was too late, the money was gone.
Oh, that's so sad.
So it just raises this big question of how are these scammers able to create these voice clones that are so convincing?
Right. Like it seems like something out of a spy movie.
Yeah, exactly.
So how are they doing it?
Well, you'd be surprised how accessible the technology has become.
Really?
In some cases, they are using really sophisticated deepfake algorithms that are trained on hours of audio.
Wow.
But a lot of times, it's as simple as using voice cloning software.
Oh, wow.
And this software is readily available, and it only needs a few minutes of someone talking to create a pretty decent replica.
So they could potentially do this with anyone's voice.
Potentially, yeah.
Like they could just take audio from a YouTube video or a voicemail message.
Exactly, and that's what makes this so chilling.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
think about how much of our lives is now captured in audio and video online.
Yeah, that's just.
It's like a gold mine for stammers.
It really is. Yeah, it really is a wake-up call, isn't it?
Big time. But I know you're not just here to scare us. You're here to give us some tools.
Right. Of course.
So let's talk about what we can actually do to protect ourselves and our families.
Okay, so one thing that comes to mind, you mentioned how they often exploit readily available audio online.
Right?
So think about your digital footprint.
Like all the stuff we put out there.
Exactly. All those traces of yourself that you leave online.
Okay.
And The less there is for scammers to work with, the better.
So, like, what kind of stuff are we talking
We'll
about?
think about like old accounts on social media sites that you don't really use anymore.
Oh, yeah.
This could be like treasure troves of audio and video for scammers.
Oh, I'm so guilty of that. I have a MySpace account somewhere with who knows what embarrassing karaoke attempts from my teenage years.
Haha, exactly. And also, think about your privacy settings on the platforms you do use.
Okay.
Like, do you really need your post to be public?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Limiting visibility to friends or even just yourself can really help.
Okay, so minimizing our online presence is key.
Definitely.
But what about when we do get those calls? How can we spot the red flags?
Well, one thing that often trips people up is that caller ID can be spoofed.
Oh, yeah. So even if it looks like a familiar number.
Exactly. Don't let your guard down.
Right, because my mom would totally answer if she thought it was me calling, even if I sounded like I was possessed by a demon.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's where having a family code word can be really helpful.
Oh, yeah, I've heard about that.
If someone calls claiming to be a loved one in distress, just ask them for the code word.
Okay.
It should be something unique, not easily guessable that only your family knows.
It's like that secret knock you had as a kid to get into your clubhouse.
Exactly. It's like an extra layer of verification.
Okay, I like it.
And beyond the code word, just trust your gut.
Oh, yeah.
If something feels off even slightly, don't be afraid to question the caller.
Yeah, like if my dad suddenly called me by my full name and sounded super formal, I'd know something was up.
Exactly. Those little inconsistencies can be telling.
Right.
And remember, scammers, they thrive on urgency.
Okay.
They want you to act quickly without thinking.
Right. Right.
So if they're demanding immediate payment or pressuring you to make a snap decision,
That's a big red flag.
huge red flag.
It's like that saying, if it's too good to be true, it probably is.
Yeah,
But in this case, it's like, if it's too scary to be true, it probably is.
exactly. And don't hesitate to hang up and call the person back on their known number to verify.
Oh, that's smart.
If it's a scam, the scammer will probably try to stop you or the number won't even work.
Okay, so we've covered minimizing our digital footprint, being cautious about caller ID, establishing a family code word, and trusting our gut. Any other tips?
Well, don't underestimate the power of education.
Okay.
Talk to your family and friends about these scams, especially older relatives.
Right, they might not be as familiar with all this tech stuff.
Exactly. And they might be more trusting of authority figures.
Yeah, my grandma would totally fall for someone pretending to be from the IRS.
I know, right? The more we talk about these scams, the less likely people are to become victims.
So awareness and education are our best weapons.
Absolutely. Knowledge is power, especially in this digital age.
So true, so true. But what about if someone does fall victim to one of these scams?
Well, that's a tough one.
Yeah, it's easy to say be careful, but what happens when the damage is already done? Yeah, it's a tough question, but an important one.
It is.
It's easy to feel ashamed or embarrassed after falling victim to a scam.
Right.
But these criminals are incredibly skilled at what they do.
Oh, they are. They prey on human emotions,
Yeah.
vulnerabilities, and anyone can fall victim.
So let's say someone listening realizes they've been scammed. What should they do?
Well, the most important thing is to act quickly.
Okay.
First, report it to the authorities, like contact your local police department, file a report.
Even if it feels like a long shot.
Yeah, even if it feels like a long shot, it creates a record of the crime.
Right, and it could help with investigations.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And even if they can't catch the specific scammers, it might help prevent others from becoming victims.
That's a good point.
And then contact your bank and any credit card companies involved.
Okay.
They have procedures for dealing with fraudulent activity and can help protect your accounts.
Right, and maybe even recover some of the funds.
Yeah, potentially.
I've also heard that checking your credit reports is a good idea.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Can you explain why that's important?
Sure. Regularly reviewing your credit reports can help you detect any unusual activity
Okay.
that might indicate identity theft.
Oh, right.
Because scammers often use stolen information to open new accounts or make unauthorized purchases.
So it's not just about the immediate financial loss?
No, it's about protecting yourself from long-term consequences.
Okay, that makes sense. And don't underestimate the emotional toll these scams can take.
Oh, absolutely.
It's important to seek support and talk to someone you trust.
Yeah, definitely. And there are also resources available specifically for victims of fraud.
Like what kind of resources?
Well, counseling services, support groups, things like that.
So it's a reminder that this is about more than just money.
Right. It's about the violation of trust. The feeling of being manipulated.
And sharing your story, even if it's painful, can help others.
Exactly. It raises awareness and reminds people that these scams are real.
Right, anyone can be targeted.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Anthony's story has definitely been a wake-up call for me. I'm already thinking about how I can have these conversations with my family and friends.
That's great.
Especially my tech-challenged uncle, who thinks clicking on every banner ad is a good idea.
Uh-huh. Yeah. We all have that uncle.
So knowledge is our best defense.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The more we understand about these scams and the technology behind them, the better equipped we are to stay safe,
And it's not just about protecting ourselves, it's about protecting our loved ones.
especially those who might be more vulnerable.
Well, this deep dive has been a whirlwind of information,
It has.
but it's been incredibly valuable. We've explored the dark side of technology, but we've also highlighted the tools and resources available to fight back.
We have.
I think the biggest takeaway for me is that awareness is key.
Yeah.
The more we know about these scams, the less likely we are to fall victim.
I completely agree. And remember, it's okay to be skeptical,
Right.
to ask questions and to verify information.
Yeah, in this digital age where things can be so easily manipulated, caution is key.
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of AI voice cloning scams.
It's been a pleasure.
We hope you found it informative and empowering.
I hope so too.
Until next time, stay safe, stay informed, and stay vigilant.